Donald Trump is not a normal presidential candidate. Somebody who attacks everybody has something missing. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to get into that.
That was Hillary Clinton just before midnight last night in Youngstown, Ohio, on that bus trip. Let's talk about all this now with our roundtable, joined by our chief White House correspondent, John Karl, Republican strategist Kristen Soltis Anderson, also with the Washington Examiner, Cenk Uygur, host of Young Turks on the TYT network, Fox News anchor Greta Van Susteren, and Alex Wagner, senior editor of The Atlantic. And John, of course, we have to begin with this whole exchange between Trump and the cons, because you're kind of spoken out again this morning, and now he's taking this broader. He's asked Senator McConnell and Paul Ryan, Speaker Ryan, to take a moral stand against Trump.
Yeah, and we have not heard yet from McConnell or from Ryan directly in response to this, but I think this puts them in a very difficult position. I don't think that this is necessarily going to sway any voters. Trump said in January I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue, it wouldn't matter. But this really does put Republican leaders in a tough spot, and they have been silent on this.
And Greta, we have seen this many, many times. You know, this is just about a year ago today. He made the comments about John McCain as a POW. Didn't seem to hurt him at all during the primaries. Had the whole controversy over Judge Curiel. Keeps on rolling. Will this matter?
I don't think so. I think people have made their minds up about Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. They love him or hate him, love him or hate him. And I think that small sliver of people who are undecided or who can be swayed either way will make their decision when they see the presidential debates, assuming they're not watching football, of course, according to Donald Trump. But I think that I think he has Teflon and I think she has Teflon.
Teflon, Alex?
I don't know. I think if you're Mike Pence, this is absolutely the last thing you want to have to deal with on Monday when you're on the campaign trail. Mike Pence has a son in the Marines. You know, effectively, I think Republicans are being asked to choose between the parents of the war dead and Donald Trump. That's a tough position to be in.
I think if you look at the polls, about a third of Americans say that they don't think either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton has the character and judgment to be president. And so the conventions over the last 2 weeks have been speaking to those folks saying, you may not like me, but I'll keep you safe. Hillary Clinton, in that clip you showed at the beginning, she said Donald Trump's not a normal presidential candidate. He is banking on the idea that people like that they will think he's not normal, and that's good. And so what this really comes down to in this interview, you know, the things he said about Russia that were just wrong, the things he said about this family that were just offensive, there are a lot of voters that will just say, but Hillary. And that's why I'm uncertain if this is actually going to move polls.
Donald the Disruptor.
Yeah, well, he is a disruptor. That's why he's winning, but certainly one on the Republican side. But look, these comments, first of all, prove that he's a bigot without a shadow of a doubt, because he takes a fallen U.S. soldier and puts him in the same camp as radical Islamic terrorists. Because he said, well, I mean, what do I say to the father? I say we got radical Islamic terror. In other words, that's why I would have kept your family out. But wait a minute, these guys you can't get any more patriotic than dying for the country. And he's putting them in the same camp. He's really an unbelievably obnoxious character. And remember, he didn't go to Vietnam. He said he had a medical problem. He got a medical deferment. Now his doctor says he's the healthiest man alive. So he's healthier at 70 than he was when he was younger. He ran from Vietnam. Then he's got the nerve to criticize people who died for this country. It's not regular obnoxious. This is beyond the pale.
Well, he did say Captain Khan was a hero. I mean, to be clear. I mean, he said what he said about his father, about the parents.
Yeah, the statement came out overnight, yeah. Let's talk about overall and coming out of the Democratic convention. It is true that Donald Trump got a bounce out of his convention. I'm not sure it was the best in 20 years, but he definitely did get a bounce, and it was a healthy one. You saw the Democrats with that series of speeches Monday through Thursday. After the trouble they had on the first days, do they get a bigger bounce?
I think you'll see a big bounce out of the Democratic convention. I mean, they had good coverage, 4 days. You know, Trump had a bit of a bounce, they'll have a bounce. I think we'll see a 5-point lead for Hillary coming out of this.
5-point lead for Hillary Clinton. One of the things that Donald Trump did point out is that more people tuned in to watch him on Thursday night to turn into Hillary Clinton. He still does have the power to draw eyeballs.
He's still this unknown quantity to a lot of people in that what will he do as president? You know, he's been in headlines for 30-some years, but people are always waiting to see what's the next thing that he's going to say, what's the next position he's going to take. So certainly he knows that sort of his worst enemy is not saying something offensive or something wrong, but rather being out of the headlines. He knows that that's where he's done best thus far in the polls.
One of the things you heard, though, from the Democrats all week long is where are Donald Trump's plans?
Yeah, well, he doesn't have any. We watched the whole RNC. The only policy position we could discern from that was coal. We're for coal digging. I mean, that's unbelievable. There's no position. Okay, you're going to keep us safe. How? No plans. I mean, who runs for president and says, I'll figure it out once I get into office, which he said literally during one of the debates. The guy's actually a loser. He really has no plans whatsoever.
I think he puts way too much attention on the conventions, like American Idol, who did better, American Bandstand, who did the best dance. I think in a week, American people are going to say, what convention? And I think, we're so steeped in it, so we think we dissect it, like every little flaw and every guest has a motive.
But you were getting 20 million people a night for both of them.
I know, but it's like, a week from now, do you really think people are going to be saying, I made up my decision at the convention? I think they had better music.
Well, but also keep in mind,
I think so many other things are going to happen between now and November.
That is almost for certain.
And that's going to drive the vote more.
Look, this is someone who is campaigning through the looking glass, George. I mean, the Democrats hit Trump for having no plans. Trump also, in a statement after Hillary's speech, said she has no plans. I mean, it is literally, I am rebel.
Well, that's why
nothing.
It's a mud wrestle. It is a mud wrestle.
She uses every criticism
so
against it and lobs it at her.
Goes to the heart of it. If this campaign is about Hillary Clinton, she loses. If this campaign is about Donald Trump, he loses. They're both deeply unpopular.
I think what's going to happen is
that's why the conventions do matter, because they set the tone.
When they stand side by side on the debate stage, and the American people who are undecided, then that's when the American people...
Will they stand side by side?
That's the question I want to ask you, John Carl, because I talked to Mr. Trump about that. He said he wants to do 3 debates, but has also now raised this issue about timing with the NFL. He's also right that 2 of the debates are scheduled up against NFL games. This is clearly the start of some negotiation over the debates.
Absolutely. And, there has been a theory for some time that Trump may look for a reason not to get on that debate stage. I think that Hillary Clinton has a reason not to see the debates happen, too, to be side by side with Donald Trump on that stage and not knowing what the heck he is going to say, what he's going to bring up. So there's clearly a negotiation here. And
it shouldn't be against the NFL. They should change that. I mean, it's like, look, why have it? I mean, that's the same thing that happened to Martin O'Malley and Bernie Sanders with the Democratic debates. I mean, they should have debates when, it's not competing with something American people also really like besides politics.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think that the Clinton team has sort of steeled themselves against I think they think it's very realistic to think there's not going to be more than 1 debate, and they're trying to sort of hedge against that at this moment.
And Greta, you're right about the Saturday night debates. There's no question. I think the Clinton team was very happy to have Saturday night debates. Now,
and it feeds into that whole business about Sanders saying it was rigged and the emails and everything else. So the Clinton campaign doesn't want it to seem like the debates are being hidden against NFL.
At the same time, Kristen, listen, I'm no expert on this, but I think it's tough to find a night where there's football's not being played in the United States.
Right. I believe in 2008, 2012, wasn't it up against baseball? So it's always going to be up against something. And I think for a lot of voters that are really interested in tuning in, I'm less concerned about putting it up against the NFL. I think for voters who are really still trying to consider who they're going to vote for,
Tuesday and Wednesdays are good.
Look, Hillary Clinton wants as many debates as possible, if you ask me, because she's got to get out there and say, your whole thing's about winning. Actually, you're a loser. We started #LoserDonald because you went bankrupt 4 times. You say that's a savvy business move. You know what's a savvy business move? Making a profit.
Yes, but you know
not going
the
bankrupt.
Problem with the debate, it either can bring out the best in them, if by chance it's a debate on ideology. That would bring out the best of them. Maybe they can do that. Or it can bring out the worst of them if they both get down in the gutter and if they both take the bait from each other.
Yeah, I just say football presidency, there's no way it can be a debate about ideology. I actually think this was the savviest thing that the Democrats did at their convention was make the message not Donald Trump is a typical horrible Republican, but rather Donald Trump is not a Republican. Donald Trump is not a conservative, trying to bring those swing voters over. I think that was the savviest thing that they did.
Let's put some snapshots up on the board right now. We've got a new device on abcnews.com where you can go to the electoral map and make your own electoral map on where the race stands today, where you think it will be in November. I'm not going to make anybody predict right here, but let's pretend the race is held today. Greta, what would the Electoral College look like?
If it were today, and now we're in a new time because now we have Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. She doesn't have to worry about Bernie Sanders, so she's probably going to change her strategy a lot. But right now, looking at it, I have Hillary Clinton at 280 and Donald Trump at 258.
Okay. Alex?
I have Hillary Clinton winning every swing state with the exception, I believe, of North Carolina, which I think we can call a swing state, 332 to 206.
So that's kind of like Obama 2012, right?
Yeah, that was my conservative map.
Conservative map, yeah. Okay. John Carl?
All right, so George, I did the states. I didn't look at the numbers ahead of time. I got to 269 with Donald Trump winning.
How did you do that?
I did because Trump holds Florida. He loses Virginia, takes Ohio, takes Iowa, takes New New Hampshire. He gets 269.
And what happens to those single delegates in Nebraska and Maine?
Obama.
Kristen.
I started with the Obama-Romney map from 2012, and I did a little bit of flipping based on what the polls looked like before the convention. So in this case, I handed Ohio to Donald Trump. I think in these places where it's sort of a toss-up, I think he'll do better in these sort of white working-class states. But then a place like Florida, I actually kept in Hillary Clinton's camp because I think the large Hispanic populations in places like
And you show that block right there,
Nevada.
Florida, Pennsylvania, Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, for that matter, wins those two, you win
Right.
the race.
I've got Trump at 279, 259. I gave him Florida, Ohio.
He was a loser a minute ago. Wait a minute. We got him winning the presidency.
No, listen. So in his life, he's had a great track record of failure, bankruptcies, running from Vietnam, everything like that. But he's a populist candidate when the country is angry, and you run the most establishment candidate we've ever seen against him. It was a terrible idea by the Democrats to support
So you're
Hillary
so
Clinton.
hot against him today because you think he's going to win.
I'm very worried, and if the Democrats are not really worried that in this populist time Donald Trump doesn't have an excellent chance to win, they're completely wrong.
I agree with you. I think he can win, and the Democrats better be worried about it. But I think today the map has Hillary winning. But I think you're right.
That is the last word today. Thank you all very much.